My name is Joel Chacha. We're still focusing on the cabinet reshuffle done by President William Ruto last evening. 3 cabinet slots, it appears, they actually have been awarded to the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now to you, Honorable Gakuya. Moving forward, does this impact or change our political terrain?
Joe have just repeated that the appointment of a cabinet is to allow the executive, the head of state, to serve the country and to serve the country well. And I want to repeat that, in fact, the team he has appointed, and especially the 3 ministers, they are well known. They are workaholic and workaholic. And if they are going to be given an atmosphere, an environment which can allow them to work, they can serve this nation. Because they have served this nation there before, and they have served well. My only problem is that whether the master will change the micromanaging of his cabinet. You realize that no single minister even appoints a board member. But actually, whatever appears to the gazettement is that minister, who does not know anybody in the list of the gazettement. If that is still the route that actually is going to be to proceed, I am not sure whether the team will still serve well. But if they are going to be given a free hand to work, they can serve. And that one I can guarantee they can. So, but this I can tell you, don't relate this with bringing back the element of mountain. See it across board, service to the people of Kenya, that they will. Issues to do with Mount Kenya, how to win them back, forget it.
So you feel all these key people will not shift the ground at all if it's in Mountain still?
I am asking, has Kindiki turned the ground?
Yesterday I asked him whether he's the kingpin.
With that strong position of deputy president, which is second in command, how do you expect anything will change to have a cabinet minister?
Last evening I asked Kindiki whether he's the kingpin of the Mount Kenya region, and he asked which office is that?
There is no such an office. That one I can guarantee. And that's what I can tell you. There is nobody who can start to say he's the kingmaker. What happens? There is always a leader who carries the tag. And that's how what we see with Laila in Runyaza. And that's what we see Karoso in Eastern Kamba. That's what we can say Mudavadi and Wetangula are in Western region politics. And that is it. And that's also how the incumbent president is in the Rift Valley. And don't forget, in fact, don't ignore this element. William Ruto, he grabbed the tag of the control of courage in the community from Moi. Moi was the king, and he grabbed it. He never went to Moi to ask for such a blessing. He never. And that's how it works. As we speak, nobody will go to ask Uhuru to give him the mantle. It's not there. And Uhuru is a retired officer.
So, with President Ruto working closely with Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, doesn't it make it easy for him to be re-elected?
There is no problem. But I can tell you, the prerogative to decide in the ballot is Kenyans, not the 3.
And let's see what that Kenyan is saying this morning via social media platforms at K24 Tv, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of the screens. Let's have the feedback up. Brenda. We'll be getting them shortly. Actually, we have them up. That is Mohamed Musa saying President Ruto earlier this year reshuffled his cabinet to accommodate former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He has again today reshuffled his cabinet to accommodate former President Uhuru Kenyatta. When is he going to reshuffle his cabinet to accommodate the ordinary citizens of Kenya? Joel Gadhu, Kenya's cabinet reshuffle isn't about serving Kenyans, it's about serving egos. When will we get leaders who care about the people? Sad. Wandia Weru, the reshuffle and change of cabinet docket is not anything new. The coalition with Uhuru was definitely to get votes from Mount Kenya. This is not new. Kamau, just accept that Rigathi Gachagua is the legitimate people's DP. Sorry, I did not get that. Let's have it back. A legitimate people's DP and de facto Murima. and thus the new reshuffle and nomination in the cabinet, is never aimed to enhance service delivery, but rather affirms the headache to neutralize the influence of Riggy G in Mount Kenya. Sarah Ruto has now gotten it right. It's the only time he has appointed hustlers and border guy.
Who is the
Owen Wilson.
guy?
That explained the meeting in Gatundu. Anyway, why board a sinking ship? Kevin Benjamin, Kenyans, our work is cut out for us. The corrupt political establishment has coalesced around each other in a shameless act of self-preservation. Let's regroup tribeless and with one purpose to exterminate this cancer that has consumed Kenya for 60 years. Bring real independence in a motherland. It is doable, dear Kenyans. Mark, from what Kenyans are saying this morning, especially saying that it's the political class regrouping, and now it's easy for them to be cut off by Kenyans. And at the same time, the whole issue of where is the hustler in this government?
You see, when the hustler government, President Ruto, came into power, the intention was not to, everybody knows exactly what he meant. It was not that we are going to have a cabinet of mamambogas and bodabodas. As you know, cabinet has qualifications and all that comes with it. So the whole campaign was about making sure that the lot of those who are down is improved, so that they can also begin to see the possibility of them dreaming big. That is, in short, what the campaign was all about. So as to whether that has been achieved so far, that is the big question. So to me, probably the biggest headache that President Ruto and his government should have right now is thinking about whether they really manage to improve the lot of the people. Probably another big question is, did the boda and mamambogas really appreciate or understand the strategy and how they could play along to be able to benefit from the initiative put in place to improve their lot? For me, that's how I look at it. And from the feedback I'm getting from Kenyans, it is obvious Kenyans are frustrated. But you see, every time we have a government, a mandate, there are always those who are dissatisfied with it. But at the end of the day, the time when the final script will be marked is 2027. Let's wait and see what will happen.
Jackson, Lee Njiru once said, or has stated in his book, that Ruto, Kenyatta, Odingas, and maybe Kalonzo are political cousins. At the end of the day, they will do anything to ensure they protect their interests. Where do we balance between the public interest and the political interest? And where does this now place William Ruto in terms of the dynasties that he was allegedly fighting then during the 2022 campaigns and now?
First and foremost, the kind of campaign that the UDA government ran, or the Hustler versus Dynasty, was a very sad campaign. First and foremost, it was a campaign that was trying to create a divide between the people of Kenya, the haves and the have-nots, those who are fortunate and the unfortunate. And I think it was a sad campaign because Kenyans have not had that as a real problem. Our real problem has been mismanagement of national resources. Our main problem has been corruption. And when you bring poor people in government and maintain status quo, they move from being poor to being rich. And they move from being not corrupt to being corrupt because what they lacked was an opportunity for being corrupt. So the sad reality is that I don't think it is really a case. When you take the four candidates that you've just mentioned, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Kalonzo Musyoka, and William Ruto, their characteristics are completely opposed to each other. None of them is similar to the other. Perhaps they have all wanted to lead this country and some have led, but their behavior, their demeanor, their interests are completely different. Now, what we must understand, and I think I have read what people are saying, and I have also talked to a number of people since yesterday after the cabinet reshuffle. You can see already Kenyans are pessimistic about it. Nobody feels like this was anything worth doing. Number two, Kenyans have called it a game of musical chairs. They think that, rightly so, it is a case of self-preservation by the president. But again, Kenya is too important to be allowed to fail. And I am sure that for William Ruto to humble himself to a point of bringing in Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta back to consult, and also humbling himself to a point of allowing Raila Odinga's team to come into cabinet, there is pressure coming from outside of his government, also pressure coming outside of it, because he has in so many instances ignored the people of Kenya and rubbished anything that we've said. Finance bill, rubbished it. Even right now, what he's doing, Mutahi Kagwe has the very dangerous task of trying to vaccinate our cows. Now, so what has been happening is that the people of Kenya are saying we have a problem with this government. The people of Kenya are saying the economy is so bad. The people are saying the education sector is so bad. The health sector is so bad. There is no recovery in agriculture. They are pointing out what their problems are, and they are crying out so loudly. And they are saying if things continue the way they are continuing, we may not even have an election in 2027. Well, we want the president to go. So I think all that, there are many forces outside of government, and I believe this is what is also bringing the fourth president into this circle. Mm-hmm. There are so many forces that are saying, Your Excellency, you can't continue on this path. Please let the trajectory of this nation change. You're on the wrong course. Try and correct your course. And by doing that, one of the best ways of doing that is bringing in sober voices, people who are not beholden to you, people who are not hustlers like you, because you call yourself a hustler and formed a government of bottoms up that is not working. So you're supposed to bring in people who don't believe in that philosophy so they can help you think otherwise.
Honorable Gakuya, you know, Kenyans are saying, a section of them, that why board a sinking ship? Could President William Ruto be keen to give a rope to all those who are likely to succeed him to hang themselves, so that if at all is going down, they will all go down?
Joe, I don't want to take that notion. One, because William has 2 years to redeem, and most likely this set of new team, politically, they may help me to manage the country, and also give him the best advices in terms of the dockets he has posted them to represent. But what will matter, and I have just repeated, is that in fact is how the boss himself, the head of state, will align himself, will put himself. This cabinet, as much as we can expect them to deliver, they may deliver. And I told you, delivery of service, one is resources. It is not rhetoric. Mm-hmm. If there will be resources, I'm sure that these people will deliver. Well, and I have no problem with that. And I have no problem at all.
Let's talk about...
But Joe, as much as there is an assumption that this is a sinking ship, in our law, we must also understand that, in fact, the only threshold, the only mechanism to remove a president is through an impeachment, which is not possible in the current situation we are. Then Kenyans should have a wait, because 3 years we have to allow the head of state to sum up his term.
So you're telling President William Ruto that he will meet Kenyans at the ballot?
That's only where Kenyans will exercise their power.
And your projections are?
No, I have no problem. I've just repeated that, in fact, he has 2 years to redeem. He has failed in 2 years.
Well.
Yes, 3 years, he can redeem himself.
Mark, the sinking ship narrative that now is cropping up, that all these who are taking Ruto's appointments are basically being given ropes to hang themselves. For instance, Ndiritu Muriithi, KRA has been experiencing revenue shortfalls. So would one blame Ruto if at all he borrows more? Because KRA can no longer or has failed to meet its revenue targets. Now the controversial vaccination being given to Mutahi Kagwe, that is, he has to now come and ensure that is realized. For also William Kabogo, ICT and digital economy, but I think the most crucial ones are Mutahi Kagwe and Ndiritu Muriithi. Are they being given ropes to hang themselves? Similar to how ODM members, that is John Mbadi, being given the treasury docket?
Well, I think the notion that Kenya is a sinking ship is one that is neither here nor there, because...
Not really Kenya.
No,
the President William Ruto led political affiliation.
You know, this is a government for Kenyans. So Kenya does not move forward as a going concern without the government that has been mandated to manage it. So to say the president and his government is a sinking ship can also imply Kenya is sinking, because Kenya cannot move forward without the government. Maybe
come 2027, that's what they mean. One-term President Ruto.
No. William Ruto is not a one-term and will never be a one-term president. That I can assure you. So for those who are excited and imagining that William Ruto will be a one-term president, they will bite their tongues.
But the determination, the power is the people.
Exactly. Like you're saying, yes. You're also saying the power is the people.
Yes.
That's
why we are saying he connects well to the people.
Yeah, exactly. You are saying that with an element of prejudice, because you know where you stand. But the truth of the matter is, come 2027, the people of Kenya will decide. Well, not only the people of one region or people or followers of one leader will decide.
The commentary were not one region. The commentary were from Kenya.
Exactly, but this government is not a sinking ship.
On the, you know, President William Ruto has actually given very crucial dockets to his now new friends, former nemesis. Is that tactful that he will want to go down with everyone who is likely to inherit his position? Because all these have had ambitions to run for presidency, in fact.
Let me first delve into the issue of the sinking ship. If you are in a ship, for you to know whether a ship is sinking, you just need to see the amount of water on its floor. And currently, I can assure you, there is so much water in the ship that we must either imagine there is a tap running, or it is actually allowing in water to a point that is going to sink. I think William Ruto acted tactfully when he realized that he was cornered by bringing in the ODM part of Azimio. And I don't want to say that, because again, like when I'm saying, when we are discussing Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, we must be very careful, because then we must confine our analysis to what was given formally by the fourth president, as these were the contents of our meeting. But at the same time, we know that William Ruto is tactful politically, and any step he takes or any action he takes has a political end to it, and therefore getting all these, there's always a saying that says, if you are king, you must destroy all the kings in waiting. That's Machiavelli. And then there is also the art of war, the art of seduction. But like Honorable Gakuya says, this may not really change the course of politics in our country. Reason being, when a philosophy of the art of war existed in the world, and when Machiavelli was still there, Barack Obama introduced a new one called the audacity of hope. And the audacity of hope ignores all the rules of war, all the rules of war, all the games of war, and says that are people determined to do something will achieve what they're determined to do.
Well,
the people of Kenya at the moment are watching very carefully. First and foremost, we have a country to run. We have children to educate. We have businesses to run. We have so much to do in the next 3 years. William Ruto can be a one-term president, no doubt. Kenyans will go back to the ballot in 2027, and they will make their decision based on how the government was ran and how they felt.
Honorable Gakuya, even as we went up, Kipchumba Murkomen, who Gen Zs had an issue with, especially for displaying extravagance and opulence, was given the youth CS then. Now, the powerful interior docket. What do you have to say about other reassigned roles and also those who have been purged out but have been given a soft landing?
Well, I can only say that, in fact, it was just tactical. When, even after a serious clamor from JNZ, he was still retained at the level of the, at a lower docket of sports. And bringing back to that very sounding position of interior, it tells you still be what Kipchumba Murkomen is still the build of today.
Your final remarks.
My final remark is that Kenyans should ignore whatever has transpired, and they must concentrate to keep demanding their services. And this government has no choice, has to deliver service to the people. It was elected to deliver, and not gimmicks and political gimmicks all through. We are tired of these cabinet reshuffles every other day. We need job.
Mark, as we went up on other reassigned new roles, let's say for Kipchumba Murkomen as a CS Interior, was he also keen not to give this position to Mutahi Kagwe, because that is what earlier on had been speculated?
Well, Kipchumba Murkomen is able. Besides the accusation of being opulent, you know, you cannot, if he didn't steal that watch from somewhere, if he didn't steal that shoe from somewhere, he bought it with his own money. You cannot accuse a man for owning a car.
What message does it send?
But
does President William Ruto send to the Gen Zs in this case?
You see,
did he listen to them?
You see, Kipchumba Murkomen has been appointed to serve all Kenyans, not Gen Zs or to quieten one demographic segment over the other. The question is, does the president see him as able to deliver on that mandate? If he does, I believe that is why he's been put there.
Your final remarks.
Only time will tell whether he will deliver or not. My final remarks are this. The people of Kenya must still remain optimistic and hopeful. Just like Brother Ngoima said about how Obama changed the narrative from the old political tactics to the new. There is a place for people being hopeful and optimistic.
Thank you.
And so that, to me, is the only place we have.
Jackson, on Kipchumba Murkomen being now the Interior CS, and as well, your final remarks.
On the issue of Kipchumba Murkomen, first and foremost, he must redeem himself. He was Minister for Roads, and we can't take. There's nothing to take away from. To take from what he did well in that ministry, and then he was given the Ministry for Youth and Sports, and there's nothing to take home about what he did. He's now been given the docket of Interior at a time that the human rights record of this government is wanting, at a time the nation is complaining of disappearances, abductions, police brutality, and stifling of civil space. And he now takes that docket at a time that Kenyans were looking for a more sober and steady hand to take care of our security. And also it is important to point out that he comes from a region that has been in conflict for quite some time. It is unfortunate that you have a minister who handles the docket coming from that area, because he's likely to be conflicted and therefore not look at things in a very sober way. My final remarks would be, he must do what he must to give the people of Kenya hope, because at the moment we don't trust that he's going to do anything meaningful with that docket. Then, and we believe that he's been appointed there to just come and be the gatekeeper. Then my other remark would be Derito Mureithi, Honorable Liki Nyanjui, Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, and William Kabogo. I wish them well. I hope this is a decision they have taken time to reflect on, consult with their friends, consult with their families. And also I hope they have also given their conditions to serve. And also I hope they are also ready to step aside if they feel that what they believe in is not working.
Thank you. Quickly, Honorable Gakui, have we been invited? Is there a special sitting up next for approval of these appointed members? So far, any communication?
One is that if the communication has to be done for that particular vetting committee. And remember that, in fact, departmental committees only vets PSs, but CSs are vetted by one committee, which is vetting that vetting committee, and it's not communicated yet, but I'm sure by the end of today it will be communicated. So
likely, there's a likelihood that this week that will happen.
Of that I can tell you.
Despite this being the festive season.
There has to be a recording of the parliament to approve the names.
Thank you so much, Honorable James Gakui, Embakasi North Member of Parliament. Reverend Mark Echakara, he is a governance expert, and as well Jackson Ngoima, a political analyst. It has been a conversation on the cabinet reshuffle done by President William Ruto as of last evening. My name is Joel Chacha. Do enjoy the rest of viewing, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year 2025.